This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 208 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
This is Hope Pan from Malvern, Pennsylvania, your co-host for today.
And this is Lindsay McCall from Jupiter, Florida, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show, brought to you this week by the United States Para-Equestrian Association. And we also have our producer, Glenn, with us.
Hey, guys, it's good to have you back again, and Hope, it's fun to have you on the show.
Always a pleasure.
I have an announcement to make before you get started with the Para Show today, and that is that we're going to be doing something new on the Dressage Radio Show beginning in June. The second week of the month, on a Thursday evening, we are going to start doing some live shows. Reese and Philip will be here live, and they're going to have a top name rider here, and they're going to answer listener questions. We're doing this in conjunction with the good folks over at DressageDaily.com. So they're going to be helping us out with it, and you're going to be able to call in and ask questions, and whether it's training questions or whatever kind of questions you have about dressage. And we'll be announcing very shortly who the first guest host will be for that, but Lindsay and Philip will be here as well. So you have 3 Grand Prix riders on the phone that you'll be able to get answers from, and that's whether you're para or able-body, it won't matter. So we look forward to starting that up, and we thank Dressage Daily for their cooperation in getting it started.
Well, this is Lindsay McCall, and we have Hope Han here today, and she's going to be my co-host. And not only is she the president of the United States Para-Equestrian Association, but she's also a Paralympic rider, and a lot of people out there know who Hope is. And thank you so much, Hope, for coming on the show today.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm excited to be here. We have a lot of exciting things coming up this week. We want to talk a little bit about our news. We leave for Lyman, Maine on Tuesday to go up to Carlisle Academy. And
we have 12 riders going up there as well.
Gone up to Carlisle Academy to conduct the symposium that is being hosted by the United States Para-Dressage National Training Symposium, hosted by Carlisle Academy, Integrative Equine Therapy and Sports. And Carlisle partners with the United States Equestrian Federation, the United States Para-Equestrian Federation, and SmartPack to bring world-class education and training opportunities to the U.S. para-dressage riders and coaches. And this event takes place May 29th through June 1st. There's a second part of that event also. From the 29th to the 30th, they are doing a Train the Trainer segment. The clientele going to this event, you have a rundown on that? How many riders do we expect?
Oh, yeah, sure. We have 12 riders. We actually have a few of our Paralympic riders coming, as well as some new riders. We have 2 veterans that are coming. And it should be quite an exciting show. Or I shouldn't say show, symposium. And we also have Hanneke Gerritsen, and we have Gil Merrick and Catherine Haddad. And I'm pretty excited about Catherine coming and teaching our riders a few things.
And why are you excited about Catherine? What's your experience with Catherine? Have you ridden with Catherine or...
Well, I've never had the opportunity to ride with her. I would love to ride with her.
Yeah.
Hey, Catherine, I'll do a lesson.
Pretty neat person. We were lucky enough to spy on her when we were in Florida. So she had a nice facility down there, and there's a few demonstrations and some of the horses that she had been working with.
Yeah, that was a really nice opportunity, and I thought she really touched on the walk, and that's something that's a big deal in the para-dressage world, that we need a horse with a really big walk, and I thought that was a very exciting time to come to her facility in Loxahatchee and watch her clinic.
Yeah, I know a lot of our grade 1 and 2 riders are coming just to meet her and just to work with their horses with her because she has the ability to really bring out the best in the walk gait.
And we also have our Great Britain coach is coming. So that should be a really exciting weekend ahead next weekend.
Yeah, he led the team to the gold medal, his grade 1 riders.
And then in June, I know we have our Golden State Dressage Classic CPEDI 3-star in Rancho Murieta, California. And I know that's in the middle of the month. That's June 13th through the 16th. So that is going to be one of the last qualifying opportunities this year for the World Equestrian Games, yeah. So I hope that we get a lot of riders there. I'm sure we'll see the Canadians there as well.
I did hear, a lot of people will be attending that last show, so.
So today on the show, we have Mary Jordan first. And Mary is a para-equestrian dressage rider, and she's a bit of a veteran. She's been here for a few years, and she last year was qualified as the reserve for the Paralympic team, and then she this year is campaigning for the 2014 World Equestrian Games, and she's campaigning with two of her horses, one Sebastian, owned by D.C. Dennison, and the other horse is Clever, who she actually raised from birth. So I think it'll be a real exciting time talking to her, and we'll enjoy it.
And then our second guest, Sarah Armentrout, is the owner and founder of Carlisle Academy, which she will be heading the conference and symposium this week. And she also is becoming an integral part of the United States Para-Equestrian Education Department. We are going to be taking this symposium on the road with Sarah's help and staff, and so we can service the rest of the country. And the next symposium will be in the fall in the West Coast in California, and that location will be announced later this summer.
Right after this commercial, we are going to be speaking with Mary Jordan.
Howdy everybody, Glenn here. We just finished a terrific series on leg protection that was brought to you by the good folks over at Thin Line Global. If you missed it, go to horsetipdaily.com and check out all 4 parts. They still have a fantastic coupon for Horse Radio Network listeners for 12% off your next order at thinlineglobal.com. Whether you buy their saddle pads, horse boots, or tack items, everything is 12% off with this coupon code. Just type radio in the coupon section at checkout at thinlineglobal.com.
Hey, Mary, thanks for coming on the show today. And I want to first of all congratulate you, because I don't know if we all officially congratulated you on the Florida CPEDI. You were the top rider there, top para-equestrian. How's that feel?
It was excellent. I was so proud of Sebastian. He was fantastic, and it was a real thrill to kind of come out, the first show of the season and have him be the high scorer. That was a great feeling.
We're aiming for the 2014 WEG, but I want to talk about your 2010. Your WEG horse was Paxton Abbey. And then I want to say that you brought forward the baby of Paxton Abbey, Clever. And how has that been, moving that baby along through the international para-dressage world?
Well, actually, Clever is Paxton's full sister. They're sisters. I had their mother, and I bred my mare Nut Brown Ale twice, and it's been a wonderful little family affair. Nut Brown Ale was, my go-to horse that I could do everything on, from, recognized dressage shows and eventing, and with my staff horse when I was fox hunting. And she gave me these 2 beautiful daughters, and certainly one of my greatest joys as an equestrian has been bringing along and developing my own horses. And with Clever, it's been wonderful to see her, following in her mother's and her sister's footsteps.
I think she's one of the cutest little horses. I know I've told you that so many times, but she's an adorable little mare with a great extension.
Thank you.
And my question to you, since this is a horse that you raised, is it a little bit more difficult because you have that from birth connection when you're riding her versus you have, Sebastian, your other horse, which is owned by DC. And do you have that connection with her? And is there any difference between her and Sebastian because you have that connection?
Well, I think one of the most fantastic things that you can experience as a competitor is having a very close relationship with the horse that you're riding. And in some ways, that's easier when you have done all the groundwork yourself and you've brought them so carefully up through the system. You know that horse inside and out, and you trust them and they trust you. And Sebastian was different because, he was a mature horse, who had, grown up overseas. We know he's been in dressage barns his whole life, but you don't know what his makeup is. But where I knew I felt an immediate connection with Sebastian, much in the same way I've always felt a connection with Paxton and Clever. And that's why he was the horse I decided that I wanted to campaign, because not every horse you sit on, you get that incredible connection and feeling with. But Sebastian certainly was one, and my mares that I brought along myself has been the other time I've experienced that.
You did have a banner year in 2012 with Sebastian, and I wanted to ask you this. I know it was a real heartbreak for you because you were just points away from qualifying for the U.S. team in London. And you know how everybody talks about the team riders on the Olympic and Paralympic team, but give me a little perspective of what it's like to be the reserve rider. I was the reserve rider for the first Paralympic show in Atlanta in 1996. So I can feel for you, and I've been in that position. But I want to hear how you felt.
Well, now that you had a couple months distance from the whole situation, I will say this. It was an incredible experience for me in 2012. And, I knew going into it that the first and foremost thing that we had to do was rank a team. And the mileage and the experience that I got being in that mix to help qualify a team for London, that to me was a great feeling. And I had experiences of going to Australia and riding all different kinds of horses and catch riding in Del Mar and coming back and competing with Sebastian. So I look at the competitive mileage as invaluable. And the other thing that I felt really, really good about is that as a grade 4, we know that we have to score in the top percentile in the 70s to be competitive, and to the way that we had the ranking system to select the team, it was tough. You had to really go all out to go for those points, and the fact that we were able to come so close as a grade 4, that was
proud about. It really is. It's a great accomplishment, and I don't want to forget the people that have made it to selection trial, your other teammates also, and it is a lot to be proud about. And, going into 2013, I'm sure, reflecting back, and your experience through the 2012 year and all the training 4 years leading up to it, what is your plan now as we approach 2014 World Equestrian Games?
As you mentioned earlier, Hope, I had an unbelievable opportunity to go to London, to be on the ground in the feed and bedding department with Kentucky Equine Research, who's been a fantastic sponsor of mine since the 2010 WEG. And, I put everything on the table to try to make the team, and Sebastian, in my mind, really rose to the occasion at the training camp. And, I had to kind of close that chapter and get on the plane and go for a new experience. And one of the great luxuries I had in being in Greenwich Park was really observing the competition and being there firsthand. And it really whetted my appetite, is all I can say. I saw the standard that's out there that we have to strive for. It really fired me up for the WAG in Normandy for 2014. But I don't just want to make the team. I really want to be ready to represent the United States and produce the best possible test that I know how to. And Sebastian was really a new horse to me in 2012, if you think about it. I mean, we had him maybe a year, and our relationship has really gotten deeper. He's fitter, and he's really coming into his own, and I'm excited about that, and that's what makes me feel good. The first time out of the gate in Florida to come out and get the high score at the show and beat the Canadians that were in London, that was a great feeling. And then our next show, which was 2 weeks ago, to have him come out as high score again. I know there's more work to do, but those are steps in the right direction, and I hope to make each ride at each competitive experience better and better with him.
I'm going to just shift gears a little bit, and on a lighter note, being a grade 4, and you hinted the fact that virtually that is the highest grade in the para-equestrian, and the riders really don't look that disabled. When we went to the annual meeting, we came across a person that you impressed somebody in the committee that you were on. He stopped me in the hall and he said, I met one of your para riders, Mary Jordan, and I was quite impressed with her. But he said, tell me, he said, I don't understand how she's a para rider. Mary, tell us a little bit what happened. You have multiple sclerosis, and sometimes you don't see the symptoms, or you don't see the end result of what a MS attack could leave a person, maybe with some weaknesses. They're invisible weaknesses to the general riding public. How do you conquer statements like this when somebody approaches you and they feel that you're virtually an able-bodied rider?
Well, as an MS patient, you get that statement a lot of, oh, you look so good. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time people told me that, I would have no problem funding my campaign to go compete in Europe. But, it's a lot of work, as an MS patient. I mean, I am the third person in my family with this disease. And, with my initial episode of MS 11 years ago, I was bedridden for 2 weeks, unable to stand or walk. And I really had a solid year of soul searching and working at coming back into riding competitively, and it was a complete overhaul to my life. I mean, I went on medication for MS 3 days after my diagnosis, fitness and diet and wellness, and I have done everything to try to be the healthiest person I can be, and I do have to work at it,
And Mary, and prior to becoming a para-equestrian, para-dressage discipline, tell us a little bit about what you did in the past as far as riding and competing.
Well, I've been actively competing since 6th grade when I started riding at 100 jumpers, and then I did show jumping in high school. I rode on an intercollegiate team at Kent School. Dressage was always a passion of mine, though, ever since I saw it in the 1986 National Sports Festival when I saw London Gray and Seldom Seen, and I tried to make my 28-year-old thoroughbred do those types of pirouettes and extensions. So I always kept the flame alive for dressage, but I really fell in love with 3-day eventing, and I evented for over 30 years. And Paxton, my 2010 Weghorse, actually was my top eventing champion of all time. I mean, her mother won events in New England, but with Paxton, in 2007, when I actually was 3 years into my MS diagnosis, Paxton won Horse of the Year nationally with the U.S. Eventing Association in 3 categories, and we did the training level 3-day half-star format. So I love that sport, and I love how it is pretty objective. You know, it's a time, a distance, a penalty point. The rails stay up, the rails come down. It's a big adjustment to kind of go into para-dressage, which is more like, I would liken it to figure skating, which I also did as a kid. It's a little bit more subjective. I really was in a small pony club growing up in upstate New York, and we did all the disciplines. We played polo, we did games, it was multidisciplinary.
I was in that pony club, well, not the same pony club, but the pony club times as well. That was a great time. Those games rallies, I had the most wonderful time in pony club. I bet you did too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, my daughter did Pony Club, too. In fact, I was the treasurer of Pony Club, one of the largest pony clubs. So it's a great background for kids growing up. And barn management, I'll tell you, I wish all our riders would come up the ranks that way.
Oh, yeah. You learn to clean your tack properly. You learn to do everything on your own without your mom watching you and helping you. It's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, I have a question about, in 2012, Ann Romney, who also has multiple sclerosis, was running as the wife to the presidential nominee. And I was wondering, did that have an effect on you personally as her running for multiple sclerosis? Did people start noticing or talking to you about it at all? Did that have any type of effect?
Actually, it did to a degree, because one of the most important things I do, Lindsay, when I'm not in the TAC, is I'm a MS advocate and public speaker, and I've gone all over the country connecting with MS patients. Certainly, Mrs. Romney's involvement in dressage and being an MS patient, brought up many, many questions about the sport and, does horseback riding help MS and those types of things. So that it definitely opened up some doors of communication and interest regarding horses and MS through Ann Romney.
Mary, thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys as well. Lindsay, I think you do a wonderful job covering para for USTEA and spreading the word about para. And
thanks.
We can never thank you enough for your commitment and your tireless advocacy to take para to the next level. So hopefully we can all pitch in and reward those efforts with some medals.
Next up, right after this commercial, we'll be speaking with Sarah Armitrott, the Executive Director of Carlisle Academy. She will be telling us about the upcoming Para Dressage National Training Symposium.
Glenn the Geek here. I get asked all the time by horse people, I want to build my own website. What service should I use? Well, there's only one service I recommend without hesitation, and that is Squarespace.com. If you're looking to build a website for your horse farm, training business, boarding stable, or personal rider page, or maybe even a blog, and you want to do it yourself and end up with a professional-looking website, then there's only one place to go, Squarespace. Squarespace makes it easy with one of the simplest do-it-yourself interfaces available. You choose the theme you like, and then you just drag and drop the elements you want into that theme and start adding your pictures and content, and off you go. Plus, they give you 15 days to try it with no strings. They don't even ask for your credit card. If you sell things, they even have an e-commerce solution. Plus, your new website will integrate with Facebook and Twitter like a dream. I've been using this company for years and have recommended it to dozens of horse people. No matter what your skill level, Squarespace is for you. Give it a try for 15 days free by going to horseradionetwork.com and clicking on the Squarespace banner on the right side of the page. horseradionetwork.com, click on the Squarespace banner on the right side of the page.
Hi, Sarah. This is Hope from USPEA, and I'm so happy that you're our guest tonight because I want everybody to know a little bit more about Carlisle Academy, which is the host of our upcoming training symposium. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But to start off, Sarah, give us a little bit of background, what led you into this fine venture. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your family.
Well, thank you, Hope, and it's great to be talking to you and be on the call today. And we're really excited to be hosting the National Paradressage Symposium. We are all systems go on the farm, and there's a great team of people working on this effort, and we are excited to have everybody come in next week. So things are buzzing, I can tell you.
Well, I know I've been emailing you nonstop, so I apologize for bombarding your email inbox.
Not at all. No, it's great. I would say first and foremost, Carlisle Academy is made up of a great team of people. I am lucky to have a wonderful staff behind me that, they're equally as passionate about the undertakings that we do at Carlisle. And we have several programs, and I do live on the farm. I founded the program with my husband, Nick, and we have...
Where exactly is this located, Sarah?
We're in Lyman, Maine, wonderful Lyman, Maine, which is very close to the hometown I grew up in. And we have a lovely, just quiet family farm, out nice rolling fields, and just a peaceful setting to host this kind of a symposium. And I live there with my 3 children, and we have 20 horses on the farm, and we have been running a therapeutic riding program now for 15 years. In the past couple of years, we expanded our programming and also had a name change to Carlisle Academy. And in that expansion, we were able to not only do the therapy and adaptive programs that we've run now for 15 years, where we have hippotherapy, adaptive riding, which is also known as therapeutic riding to many people out there in the public. We have adaptive carriage driving. We have a wonderful program for disabled veterans that we've been doing first in the state of Maine back in 2008. And we have programs for elderly, silver spurs, we call it, and the list goes on. Interactive volunteering.
And you have able-bodied lessons as well, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So
That's really interesting because I myself started at an equestrian center in my early 20s located in Pennsylvania, and we had the full inclusion approach, which in that time was very unique. And explain to me, like in your program, when you say that you're fully integrated, do you have group lessons with both able-bodied students and your equestrian students?
We do, and our therapeutic riding students as well. We have distinct tracks where we have we call it our sports and education
department. We have a therapy and adaptive department in sports and education. And then within that, we do have traditional riding lessons with a focus in dressage and eventing. We have sport vaulting, which is a really exciting new venture we're getting into. But as much as we have distinct tracks, we also have integrated tracks. So we have a wonderful team called Team Carlisle, which is an integrated able-bodied and special needs team. And they work beautifully as a group and as a team. And they go out to mainstream horse shows, as well as a little inner barn competition that we've set up with another like-minded farm.
Something like a quadrille or...
not so much a quadrille. We do have our own little class list we put together, and it's a variety of in-hand classes and equitation classes, and something that you would find at a mainstream horse show. And we also give them an opportunity to go out in a local horse show. So that's our Team Carlisle. We do have para riders that also go out to local dressage shows. We've really been promoting our local dressage associations to pick up the para classes, and they've been very willing to do that with great success. So we have recreational elements, competitive elements, and where it makes sense to be inclusive within the groups, we absolutely do that and promote that. We have some after-school programs called Saddle Club. So we love what we do, and I believe fully in an integrated and inclusive environment. I think that it makes for a richer environment for people to learn in. I think it makes for a supportive learning environment, and that's important for children today and adults, and for people to be able to be on a farm that's open and expansive and to sort of look in one direction and you might see jumping going on or cross country in a field, or you turn around you might see hippotherapy going on in the covered arena. So there's a lot happening, but it's all
the benefits are endless as far as confidence building, social skills. For me,
yeah,
I mean, the experiences that I had were invaluable, and I think actually shaped a good part of my adult life.
Yeah.
And Sarah, I commend you because there's not many undertakings right now, even though it's been 30 years since I first, entered a facility like that, which is amazing to me. So I think that the work that you're doing it just will mushroom eventually when the word gets out, and we need to educate the public.
Yes. Well, as I said, I believe inclusion really does make for a rich learning environment, and I really wouldn't have it any other way. We've really done it that way since the beginning. It's just that with Carlisle Academy, we were able to formalize that and really flesh out different parts of our program. And the benefit, I would also say, sort of a hidden benefit, is we have a very family-centered approach, because we have children that ride in both the traditional lessons, and then a sibling who might be disabled is riding in hippotherapy or adaptive riding. So, family can come for an hour, and 2 or 3 children may be served and seen in that time. So that's really special for a family to be able to do that together as well.
Yeah, I really like that, because you're not running in all different directions with each child, and this way, they can really do an event like this together. So it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Sarah, you keep talking about hippotherapy, and then you say adaptive riding, or what we also call therapeutic riding.
Yep.
Yes, but I would like to know, can you tell me what the difference is?
The difference is very distinct. One is a more clinical approach. Hippotherapy is really the clinical piece of equine facilitated therapy. It has to be done with a physical therapist, occupational therapist, or speech therapist, and they are licensed, credentialed professionals, as well as specially trained in hippotherapy. So they have additional training in that modality. And so for them, it's not about teaching riding. It's really about the rider receiving the movement of the horse. It's a dynamic moving surface, and it's kind of like the therapist has the opportunity to leave the more clinical setting of a therapy room and go to an arena with a giant moving therapy ball, if you will, on four legs. Yeah, and the rider is often moving in many different developmental positions. So they might be sideways, backwards, hands and knees, doing puzzles on the horse's back, reaching games, crossing midline. So all the sorts of things a therapist might do in a room and or use on a ball or a vestibular swing, they're able to then transfer to the back of the horse. And for our therapists, the therapists we have just call it their nirvana, because they see such incredible results, often a big spike in the gains that a rider will have, particularly if you can have younger riders and early intervention. Our therapist has seen really, really tremendous gains in language, core stability, balance, coordination. Absolutely, the confidence is a big piece of that. But there are really true physical benefits that come from that as well. So we love it, and we're learning every day. We're fascinated, and we feel so fortunate that we get to do this work every day. I'm lucky that we have at Carlisle two of our therapists are the highest credentialed you can be. It's the hippotherapy clinical specialist, and it's part of the American Hippotherapy Association's board certification. So they are one of 87 worldwide, and they're both right in Maine. So that's also pretty exciting for us.
That is. That's very exciting. And you have the symposium coming up, the National Paradressage Symposium. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going to be going on there this next weekend?
Well, it'll be a flurry of activity, but all good. And the symposium is part of our third leg of our stool, which is our training and leadership program, where we have dedicated staff and resources to put together clinics and workshops and trainings, and we partner with associations like USPEA and USDF to be able to host events like this and convene the faculty and the riders, the participants, and be the convener for those sorts of things to take place. So we did put our heads down several months ago and had committee meetings about what we wanted to put together at next week's symposium, and I think we have a really super lineup of clinicians and workshops, lectures. So as many already know, we have world-class judges and clinicians coming in. We have Hanneke Gerritsen from Holland, Clive Milkins from Britain, and he helped to coach the British team to gold medal in London. Catherine Haddad-Stoller from Florida is coming up, and we're thrilled to have her. And then Gil Merrick, who will help facilitate the whole theme of the symposium, which is the team approach. And we're really trying to promote the idea of coming together. We're such a big country and spread out, and people are trying to find ways to find common ground for how they can be the very best they can be in their para dressage pursuits, as an athlete, as a competitor, and just as someone who's dedicated to promoting this sport. So I think it's really going to be an exciting symposium.
Well, it really is a work in progress. And explain Train the Trainer, how important it is that we have qualified, certified trainers to guide our high-performance riders to the absolute best, and explain why it's so important, and the concept of having a structured program.
Absolutely, and I think structured and consistency and some equity across the country, having sort of equal opportunity across the country, those are all really important things to put together a concerted effort for Train the Trainer. we've worked hard to bring in people who have the expertise, like Hanukkah, and certainly hope you'll be there, and Gail, who's going to facilitate, and Clive, who's going to speak to how the British system works. And we have PowerPoint presentations on the 2013 tests and unpacking those new dressage tests, how the classification system works, and really the sort of para 101. And without that, I think people, both riders and judges and trainers, feel a little lost about how to tackle this discipline and how can they be the most competitive out there, whether it's locally, regionally, nationally, or internationally. So this speaks from a national and international level to the trainers who are then going home to their riders in their hometowns and helping them with what kinds of equipment they need, the compensating aids, what's allowed, what's not allowed. It's really the rules and regulations demystified. and what I've learned is that there's a lot of demystification to take place. I think people are hungry for knowledge. They really are. And I think that one of the roles we can play is to create supportive learning environments, whether it's in Maine or we take the program on the road and we go to California and wherever else, Georgia, wherever it can help riders come together and feel like they can come and learn in a safe, supportive way and get the information that empowers them to go back out and continue to train at their best, know that there's an organization and USPEA and USDF behind them to create that medal-winning team that everybody wants to see.
Well, you're absolutely right, and it's such a big leap from going from recreational riding into competition, and USPEA being the national organization needs an entity education department to tie it all together. Just a short time that Lindsay has been on staff with us, she gets numerous emails and calls how to get started and what is dressage. And what people don't realize, the name itself means parallel to dressage, able-bodied dressage. So parallel is really the same as, but done with adaptive equipment if it's necessary, aids that will allow a rider with a disability to compete successfully in the upper-level show arenas. So this is really an important step for our country, our national organizations, and I thank you for, taking this huge enterprise on. And I think that it will meet with great success in the future if we follow, our plan.
Absolutely.
I think it's very twofold, too, because there are so many people that come to me and they don't realize they're able to be a para-equestrian. They can classify as para-equestrian. Or those trainers that will be there this weekend learning how to train, what adaptive aids to use. I'm sure there's a bunch of trainers out there in the able-bodied world that would be more than happy to train a para-dressage rider, but they just need to get the knowledge and the understanding of how and what they need to do.
Yes, absolutely. And giving them the tools is empowering. Mm-hmm. Education is empowering.
It really is. And we have a whole new clientele that's really exciting that we really didn't mention is the veteran program. And, Sarah, you've been committed to that for a few years now.
Yes. Absolutely, and I think we love working with the veterans that come to our program, and we see just really wonderful benefits with their time with the horses, and I think it's wonderful that USPEA has gotten behind really supporting veterans coming through as para riders because it's just a perfect link, and I really hope that that's a program that takes off.
Oh, it has already, Sarah, and I am excited. In fact, we have two veterans that will be attending this upcoming symposium.
Yes, that's really exciting. And we're picking out the perfect horses for them.
Well, we'd like to thank you, Sarah, for coming on the show today. And Hope and I really enjoyed speaking with you and kind of getting to know a little bit more about what's going on this next weekend. And I look forward to seeing you there and meeting you in person finally.
Well, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on the website at dressageradio.com, or like us on Facebook. Just search for Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio.
You can learn more about the United States Para-Equestrian Association at uspea.org or on Facebook. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Hope, I want to thank you for co-hosting the show with me today. I had a wonderful time with you, and next month I'll be back on once a month again, and I'm looking forward to it. We have some more exciting guests coming on.
Well, thank you, Lindsay, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of tales to tell.